Hello everyone, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me for this edition of the 2021 Freebird Tour Vlog series. Right off the bat, I just want to say fasten your seatbelts because it is about to get real. This will be my most raw video I've ever posted. I'm going to speak very honestly in this video, and I'm also going to talk about Jesus. So, if you feel like you're going to be unable to stomach some of my comments as I approach these topics, consider this your warning. I have no intentions of sparking up any hate or hurt in this video. In fact, it's pretty much exactly the opposite. I'm hoping to offer you all some encouragement by digging deep into some of the stuff in this video. So, my wife and I just arrived in Columbia, Missouri for the Mid-America Open, which means I just got done playing the Jonesboro Open in Arkansas. Coming into this tournament, I was feeling confident, ready to go, feeling like I had a good game plan, and I'm not in the very top category when it comes to distance throwing, but I'm maybe in the second category down. I can get one out there well over 500 feet, and that is more than you need in order to birdie the holes out at the Jonesboro Open. So I was feeling good, feeling like I had everything that I needed to put together a great performance at the 2021 Jonesboro Open. Round one, I started the tournament with back-to-back birdies on two tough holes, holes 1 and 2, boom, boom. I was totally feeling nervous though, and my putt was feeling shaky right off the bat. I barely got the first two to stick in there. Hole 8, I made a bad judgment call, chose the wrong disc and the wrong shot. 16, I made another ill-advised decision, decided to play aggressive when I probably should have just laid up. Ended up with a nightmare finish that round. The last 3 holes I went 5, 5, 6. To cap it all off, I missed a putt from about 15 feet on hole 18. At the end of that round, I left the course fuming. It was very painful to have been so close again to shooting a great round and yet not. My head was spinning. I was in total disbelief, knowing that I am skilled and experienced, and yet I still had not found my way to a better score and a better performance. Now, at this point, I want to give a shout out to Greg Fuqua. I hope I'm saying that name right, but he posted a comment on one of my past videos asking, where does your philosophy or mindset about disc golf meet your mindset about life? Talk about the psychological aspects of living well, being happy, and being successful. Now, anyone who knows me well knows that I am a straight shooter and a deep thinker, so this is my kind of question. Thank you again, Greg, for asking. Here we go. All these thoughts are circling my head like I wanted this year to be amazing. I wanted to make good money to help me to build a better future for my wife and my future family. And there I am talking to God, knowing He hears me, but wanting a response. And then He spoke up. You play with so much weight on your shoulders. You feel the weight of every mistake you make, every putt you miss, every drive you shank. It weighs on you. And so every round you play, you're going out there and you're trying to perform well while carrying this heavy burden. But if you understand the whole story of Jesus, then you understand that that burden is not yours to carry. Jesus traded you His perfection for your burdens. He took them on as His own. In exchange, He gave you perfection, weightlessness. If you understood that and if you believed that, you would play with no weight on your shoulders. If you're a disc golfer, you've almost undoubtedly used disc golf as an analogy for something else. Life is like a round of disc golf. Just when you least expect it and you feel like everything's going wrong, you hit a hole in one, or you make a 100-footer, or whatever. I've felt ever since I was a kid that I didn't have a very powerful story about Jesus. Like a personal testimony is like the church word for what I'm talking about. I felt like I never had a good testimony or a powerful testimony because my life has been so good my whole life. Like I grew up with an amazing family and amazing parents, and I never really was a super bad kid. Like things weren't perfect. I was not perfect. I struggled in school. I made plenty of mistakes and all that. But all in all, like things never got crazy or bad. I never went off the deep end with drugs, or I was never abused. I've never really lost anyone extremely close to me. I've just had like a comparatively easy life to most people. And so I'm like, yeah, it's easy for me to say God loves me because my life hasn't been as hard as other people's have. In comparison, someone with a really powerful testimony might explain how, my life was in shambles and I was addicted to 3 different drugs and I was in and out of jail, and I hated everyone and I hated the world, and my parents abandoned me when I was 2, and then my whole life changed. Like I heard the story of Jesus and it changed my whole life, and now I'm completely 180 and I'm living a whole different life and I'm this super spiritual person. I've always just felt like, yeah, I believe in Jesus because I always have. It's always made sense to me. It was introduced to me at a young age, and there was never any like drastic change. I've kind of just always tried to learn more about who he was and is, and study the Bible and learn more because it's true and it's good, and I've always believed that it's true and it's good. No other belief system or argument has ever swung me a different way. However, the story of Jesus came more true to me a couple days ago than it ever has before. The whole thing I explained about me feeling the weight of all my mistakes on the course, every putt I missed, every bad release, every mental lapse, I realized at the end of the round, I don't need to play like that. I don't need to feel so much weight behind every little mistake. And that translates far beyond the disc golf course. Here's the basic message. There's heaven, there's hell, and God is fair. He's a fair God. He's a fair judge. And so he's like, hell is where sin and brokenness belongs. Heaven is where perfection belongs. And so if once everyone dies, if they only go to one place or the other, are you broken or are you perfect? Obviously, no one is perfect. So the whole point of Jesus coming to earth, the idea is that Jesus is God's son. So he's God manifest in a man. He's the human form of God. He came here and experienced the world as a man, yet he was somehow both fully man and fully God at the same time. He lived a life without sin, without brokenness. He was not sinful, he was not broken, yet he died. He died in our place. He willfully exchanged his perfection for our sin. And paid that price, the price of death, for us on our behalf. So how that applies to eternity is if we accept his offer and exchange his perfection for our brokenness, then we get to go to heaven instead of hell. How it applies to day-to-day life is that we don't have to carry the burdens of our mistakes. Jesus already paid that price. He said, those aren't yours anymore, those are mine. You now don't have to carry around the burden of your mistakes. You get to carry my perfection. Jesus says, guess what? God is king of everything. If he's king, then I'm also royalty. But since I was his son, and then you were over here, but then we traded everything, now you're royalty. And royalty gets to make mistakes and not worry about it, because then they're just still royalty, whether they screw up or not. They've got things taken care of for them. No matter how many mistakes we make, no matter how much sin there is going on in our life, Jesus says, you know what? That's mine. Let's trade. I'll give you what I've got if you give me what you've got. For me to sit there stubbornly and hold on to my mistakes and not let him take them, that's me saying, no, you're not perfect enough. That's not a fair trade. I'm too messed up. We can't do this trade because I have too much junk that it outweighs your perfection, which is pretty messed up, because I believe that God is 100% perfect. He embodies perfection. So to bring it all full circle during this little segue in the middle of my tournament recap, Greg, your question is about my philosophy and my mindset, my approach to life, happiness, all that good stuff. It all revolves around Jesus and understanding my purpose in him. In a nutshell, a person's purpose is to love God and love people. That's what I set out to do in this world. Another way that I personally like to say it is love God, love people, work hard, and do whatever you want. I think a lot of Christians specifically get bogged down wondering, what's God's will for my life? What does he want me to do with my future? And so they freak themselves out because they're like, I don't know what God wants me to do. I have this decision in front of me and I just want to know what he wants me to do. And he's like, do what you want to do. I already explained everything I want from you in the Bible. If you love me and you love the people around you, do whatever you want. That's what would make me happy. That's what I want you to do. That's what I want from you. So in a continued effort to answer Greg's question, there's no way to find happiness, to find success, to find fulfillment other than by understanding who God is and who Jesus is. Along with that, I think the only other big ingredient, in my opinion, is hard work. If you work hard and you chase after God, your life's going to be awesome. If you don't do those things, your life's probably not going to be awesome. Don't get me wrong, the world is a crazy cool place, and you're going to find a lot of cool stuff to do, and you'll have some awesome experiences, I'm sure, if you look for them. But at the end of the day, there's not going to be any purpose behind your life. There's not going to be any lasting fulfillment or satisfaction behind anything you do unless you understand who Jesus is, who God is. And then hard work is important as well. So the night after round 2 was pretty intense and I learned a lot. Wait a minute. That was round 1. All right, I got the days mixed up. This all happened after round 1. So going into round 2, my goal was to play weightlessly, to walk along as if I am royalty and nothing can change that, because that's what's true. And to not carry the burden of all the mistakes that I might make along the way. And I actually did a fantastic job of that in round 2. I missed 6 putts inside the circle in the second round. I was throwing really well, but you can't miss 6 times from inside the circle. That's not good. Looking at scores after the fact, if I had made all my circle 1 putts, I would have been tied for 6th at the end of the day going into the final round. Instead, I was in like 50th place. Now, round 3. Boy, was that a wild ride. I started off spicy hot. I don't think anyone has ever started with 7 straight birdies. I birdied the first 7 holes, and there are some tough holes in the first 7. Now, some of you are probably thinking, wait, I was watching you, Disc. I saw you got a par on hole 6. What are you talking about? You birdied the first 7. Hole 6, I won't tell the whole story, but long story short, I landed safe. Our group thought I landed OB, and so I threw an extra shot in there. And so even though I birdied the hole, I got an extra stroke because I threw what ended up being considered as a practice throw. So birdied the first 7. I was playing extremely well, firing on all cylinders, played aggressive on hole 5, which I had laid up the 2 days prior. So it was super cool to go for that birdie and actually execute and get it. I was way too excited and threw my tee shot too hard on hole 8. Threw a high Spikeheiser forehand that just went so far. Just little by little, the round slowed down, and I made some really small mistakes that ended up making a very big difference in the end. So just let the strokes slip out one at a time until the last hole, when I missed from about 15 feet again on hole 18 to finish the tournament. That was tough to swallow. And if you're wondering, I did not do a great job of avoiding carrying the weight from my failure that round. I did better than I have in the past, and all that learning isn't going to take place overnight. But the big takeaway from that round was that I showed some serious potential. I know I have mad skills, and I know I have the ability to perform at the top level, to win these events out here. And it's just been a disappointing start to the season. So that is, I will not lie to you for a minute. That is really difficult to swallow. But just as quick as confidence can drop, things can click, and that confidence can spike right back up to the top. While it makes no sense to me that I've performed so poorly out here on tour thus far this year, I'm choosing to believe that it says nothing about the rest of my season. I know I've got some great finishes ahead of me. I've been saying it in past videos. I know it's coming. All I can say is I'm just excited. I'm excited for those times to come, and I don't know, God knows better than I do, so I wouldn't trade my plan for his. So if this is how things have to be for for the end of the season to be awesome, then I'll take it. I'm just excited for those weekends to come, and it's so much more fun to play well. All I know to do is to keep believing that good things are coming and to keep working really hard, which is exactly what I've been doing. So don't worry, I'm not giving up that easy. There are some good things coming from me, and thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me while I figure out how to piece it all together. Well, that's about it. I don't know if it was actually snowing or raining behind me at all during the filming of this video, but the precipitation out there kept me off the course. The worst part about Harmony Bend's disc golf course, one of the best courses ever, is that it's in a major flood zone. So it's like a high risk flood area. And so things are probably really wet and mushy out there. I'm hoping we can compete there during the tournament for obvious reasons, but we'll see what happens. As always, thank you so much for joining. Take a moment to like and subscribe. Just a couple quick last minute things that I forgot to say. Since I won't be doing any filming at Harmony Bends for this video, I'm going to link a video by GK Pro from 2019. I was in it. It's a cool little battle in the front nine between me and Emerson Keith. If you're unfamiliar with that course, it is so sweet. So get a look at it. Go watch that video. Another thing, I wanted to mention this TV show that I've been loving recently. My wife and I have been watching The Chosen. If you are not familiar with The Chosen, it's like the first ever TV show about Jesus that isn't cheesy or like poorly made in some way. Obviously that is an opinionated statement, but a lot of people agree with me. So if you're interested to know more about Jesus or who he is, I suggest check out The Chosen and watch an actual well put together show about who he is. There's only one season and a couple episodes of season 2 released right now, but they're planning on making 8 seasons if I'm not mistaken. So there's some good stuff coming. I can't wait to see it all. Last thing is, if you have any like questions on anything that I was talking about, then always feel free to find my athlete page on Facebook. I can link that down below as well. And then also Instagram, you can reach out to me on Instagram and send me a message there, ask me questions, whatever it might be. Feel free, and I will respond as I am able. As always, thank you very much for joining. I'm Joel Freeman, you're watching Wholehearted, and we will see you next time.